Let's get started. First of all, I'd like to introduce the awesome Mr. Michael Mills.
Thank you, Joe. So some of you on the call today already know this, but others don't. See, Joe and I are doing this presentation jointly to our list. So just a quick background check on me. I was an eMyth consultant for many years, delivering Michael Gerber's eMyth Mastery program. And by the way, I don't do that anymore. I leave the fun stuff, the coaching and the consulting to Joe. But what we found when we were consulting is that our clients, they were getting a lot of good information, but they weren't getting their processes implemented. And that being the very foundation of the eMyth program, we decided to focus our efforts there very tactically. In fact, we often say that eMyth theory, we take eMyth theory and we make it tactical. So as part of working with hundreds of entrepreneurs, we came up with a process development plan and a web-based platform to help you get your operating procedures implemented so that you can scale with control instead of being out of control, instead of being in chaos. So what we do is we help you get your processes implemented. It basically simplifies training, it simplifies management so that you can grow and you can ensure things are being done consistently and reliably exactly as you want things done. So that's just a brief bio for us. Thank you, Joe. Now over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Joe Siecinski. For those of you who don't know me, you can look at my LinkedIn and find out all about me, because none of that stuff matters unless we are able to help you out today, specifically to define your why, know why you need your why, and get things moving forward in your business. So as part of this, when we start getting going today, I want the learnings to be the best. So please make sure you have your handouts, your ink pens, your computers ready to go. If you, the chat's open, so feel free to put it in the chat. Feel free to put in questions. We'll be monitoring those. If I don't answer them, we'll definitely catch those at the end. But the more you get engaged, the more you talk, the more we interact. Please do so. If you want to jump in and say something, just drop it in the chat. I think we can give audio control to them. Is that right, Veronica? Can we give audio to people?
Yes.
Yay, we can give audio to people. So when we say or think this, I know, what happens?
I already know that.
You already know that. That's right. When we say or think I know, our brain shuts off. There's a chemical reaction in our brain that I already know that, so everything bounces off. So we cannot learn. So as we're going through this presentation today, instead of saying I know, no more I know, we say, come on.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting?
And it is interesting.
It is interesting. You can almost feel the chemical reaction in your brain where you can absorb information versus I know that. Isn't that interesting? We can absorb and learn information. So isn't that interesting? So let's get started. Why do we have to have a why? What gets you up in the morning? What is your why? As we start thinking about this, what drives you? What gets you up? What do you? Why do you do what you do? What creates your passion? Okay, Simon Sinek's got a great little video of Veronica. Could you drop that video in the chat so everybody could copy that? Also, these two great books, Start With Why and Find Your Why. If you have not read these, grab them for your library, read them. I really like Find Your Why. This one, Find Your Why. Because this is what gets you going. Michael, does this ever get you going?
Yeah, you know, we've been doing some dry runs lately on this presentation, and I was talking with Joe. This happened to me. I mean, I'm going to say this. Don't think this happens every morning, but like earlier this week, I was just baked. You know, lying in bed. I was just early in the morning. I just didn't want to get up. It felt like Saturday, but it was Monday or something or Tuesday, and I was lying there thinking. And then all of a sudden I remembered my why, and Joe and I will be sharing our whys, but I remembered my why and I thought, you know what, I get to do this. This is fun. I actually like what I'm doing, and it's sort of what gets me out of bed. That's not the only reason why you want a why. There are way bigger reasons, but this is a benefit of having a why. I think that's a good way to share this piece. There's a lot more that we're going to be talking about why you need a why, but this is a personal benefit. It can get you out of bed. It keeps you passionate about what you do.
And it'll drive you through the tough times. And it's everything around what you do and how you do. So let's just kind of figure out where everybody is right now. But let's do the first poll. Veronica, let's figure out where everyone is with their why.
So the good thing about this poll, be honest. We can't see who is saying what, but we're really interested of all the people today. Do you know your why? So you might have thought about this. If you know what your why is, but you haven't written it down, then the answer is yes. If you haven't ever gotten to the answer, then the answer is no. The second question, do you have your why statement written down? It's really important that you get it out of your head and on paper. And what Joe and I say is that if it's not written down, you don't own it. You don't have it. It's not there. It's just,
it doesn't exist. If you can't show it to me, it doesn't exist.
Right. So if you don't have your why statement written down, then the answer is no. If you don't have your why statement written down, it's very hard to share it with your team. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go in. And then the third question, have you thought about this question and its meaning in the past? I mean, some consultant, it could have been Joe, it could have been me in the past. We've asked you about, do you have a why? We've done a presentation on it. And you probably at that point thought, this is pretty cool. I should do something about that. And then whew, you go back to work and you're not focused on it. So have you thought about it? Yes. Have you not thought about it? No. If you can't remember, can't remember.
Okay, let's see the results. Oh, 64% actually know their why.
That's
you
cool.
have a why statement written down. Oh, look, it drops down to 30%. Get out a piece of paper, write it down.
Right.
You got paper and pencil, or put it in the chat. We'll be doing a little bit more of that. Have you thought about this? 100% have thought about it. Fantastic.
Well, they could have been thinking about it, Joe, because we've been pumping people with emails about your why for the last couple of weeks. So maybe they've been thinking about it.
Well, that's good, because that will make this workshop even more powerful for everyone. So, finding your why. So this is a little exercise, and what we want to do is actually in your handout, you've got a handout. What matters most to you? What I'd like you to do is write it down, think about it, and also put it in the chat so we can get that. So let's take about a minute, jot down into the chat box what matters most to you.
I'm going to put mine in there, Joe, just so mine is making a difference. In other words, what I offer, if I can spell, makes.
Okay, I'm not seeing people in the chat. Get in there, people.
It's hard to get it done quickly, Joe. I'm trying to write mine, so.
And making an impact to others, excellent. Making a difference, excellent. Helping people, excellent. I'll be very. I have no idea what matters most. Ooh, cool. 19. Yeah.
So, if you're not sure what making a difference means to you, what matters most to you, have a look at some of what you're seeing here in the presentation. So in the chat box, because everybody should be seeing this, right? Is everybody seeing this, or only?
No, only us.
Only us. Okay. So I see it. Okay.
So I'll compile this and shoot it out to help everyone. We can. So Veronica, let's make sure.
Gary's actually saying we can see it all. We can see.
Okay, good, excellent.
Okay.
It's open to view. Fantastic.
So
okay.
if you're not sure, have a look at what some people are writing, and that could help you. And then take this time to try to figure out what matters.
And as we go through this, hopefully we'll get some clarity on what matters to you.
Here's another one. Roland put it in the Q&A: to be in control of my destiny. That's a great one.
Ooh, cool. Okay, let's move on to what is the one thing that I keep coming back to? So as you evaluate, start internalizing and reflecting on this, what's the thing you come back to of, finding your why? What is it? What makes you warm and fuzzy? What does it? What I mean, it's it took me 2 weeks to kind of dive into this to start finding it. But you usually come back to one thing: processes, Mike. It's at me. It's making people smile and making people happy. See others grow. Yeah.
Leaving a legacy. That's a good one.
Okay, this question gets a little easier. What would be lost if this organization ceased to exist?
Hey, honey, good to see you here. To fulfill others' life and mine. That's a good one.
Cool.
We wouldn't be the best plumbing company in Temecula. There you go.
I like Temecula. That's a nice city. Marketing and sales. Excellent.
Oh, here's a good one. This why seems focused on business, not personal. They join, they meld, So it's why you are doing what you're doing, and yes, so take it personally. I think go personally.
You got to go personal. Our personal, if our business goals don't support our personal goals, why do it?
Right.
And it all comes down to personal. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's okay. Sorry, Joe. So some of these questions are asking about the business, because if you don't, if you've got that personal why, but then you lose your business, then you lose your why. You lose the ability to deliver your why to your clients, essentially. So like for me, I said, what would be lost if our organization didn't exist? Well, for me personally in my business, we would lose control of our ability to grow. We would fall into SOP chaos, but that would also happen because I couldn't deliver that to my clients if I didn't exist, if my business didn't exist. So that might be another way to think of it.
Yeah, and this the fourth question kind of ties into that. Why are we important to the people we serve?
Oh, Deb's here. We can only see info that are sent to all panelists and attendees, but it defaults it to all panelists, so we can see all of it. Okay, good. Great, Deb.
Go. Cool.
Hey, Debbie, I want to know what your why is. You can see me smiling, right?
Well, why are we important to the people we serve? I had a client this morning, and just the impact that I've had the privilege of having on his business, working with him for the last 2 years, it's just amazing. He actually got sick and had 3 days off, and did not even get a phone call or an email. The business was running. Isn't that cool?
That's very cool. Yeah.
So that's what I get to do. What do you get to do with yours?
Yeah. And one of the things I say is that we get your processes in place so that you can scale without killing yourself. And yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to number 5. Why would anyone dedicate their precious time, energy, and compassion for your company?
Yeah.
This starts tying in to the team aspect of your why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your team, but I also think of it in terms of my clients, sharing with what I do, my why with my clients. I mean, I sort of say to myself, so I was making notes about this last night. So my clients, my business owners can get out of the rut they're in, out of that daily grind, and they can get their company under control and get their freedom back, being able to do what they love to do, whatever it is that they love to do. That's why I think people need to dedicate their precious time and energy and passion to this.
Excellent. And Veronica, let's make sure we capture all of these chats.
There is a way, there's an option for everybody on the call to save the chat at the end. So we will, because we're recording it, we actually do automatically save this chat, but and we can email it out. So if somebody doesn't get the chat, just let us know and we can email it to you. But you can save it to your own as a text file at the end of the event.
Okay, so this is setting the foundation for driving us forward to finding our why. So, you know, with COVID and everything that's happened, the world's moving so fast. Most of us have been in this firefighting mode, just running, trying to figure out what we do. And this gives us an opportunity to breathe, take a step back, reflect on our business, on why do we do what we do. Right now, I see a lot of businesses in this continuous loop, just going around in circles, run. By defining our why, it all of a sudden we can start going, okay, what decisions do we make are based on our why and our purpose? Our why really is our purpose. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But when we start focusing on making decisions based on our why or our purpose, the world starts changing. It makes it much easier to make decisions. It makes it much easier to do a lot of things in the business. So as you're taking this time to reflect and figure out why is this important, it's built on everything else. So why have your why? You know, as we've been talking about, it's the foundation for your goals. As you set your goals, it's based on why you do what you do. Everyone should have your SMART goals moving forward. And how can you develop your goals if you don't know your why? It's the core to everything.
And Joe, for the Touchstone clients that are out here, your why is your purpose. When we talk about vision, which is mission, purpose, and values, your why is your purpose. It's a huge part of your strategic planning, your management meeting processes, making sure you get the right people on the bus. I'll probably speak to that later, but it's the why. Think of your why as your purpose.
And you know, most people know what they do and how they do it, but don't take the time to understand your why you do what you do. What about your why for your team? What gets them up in the morning? Why did they have it? Why? What's, you know, their why? Because the why isn't just about you. It's about your company, your team, and your customers.
Can I say something to this, Joe?
Please.
So I was just saying something about this, the why, the purpose, part of your vision, mission, purpose, and values. The why is part of your culture. Most entrepreneurs, they don't consider the importance and value of having a corporate culture. A lot of people think they're too small to have a corporate culture, but culture matters no matter how big your company is. Even if you're one person, you've got to have this culture. So you got to get great people on your bus. You know, that's a great Jim Collins metaphor. And getting good people on your bus means, among other things, that they believe in your purpose, in your why. If you don't have your why defined, how are you going to be able to share it? How do you communicate it? How are you going to know if all of those people on your bus believe in you and believe in your purpose? And so that's how you make sure that you've got the right people on the bus. It's because if that bus is filled with people who should be there, you're going to be successful. And if they're filled with people who shouldn't be there, your success, your ability to grow and thrive, it's threatened at the very core. So if you want a winning team, you got to start by creating a winning culture, and that includes your why. So this is really, really valuable and really important.
Come on, Mike, I got to have the Michael or the Peter Drucker quote. I got to have it.
Yeah. So basically, culture eats strategy for lunch. Although But yeah, that's a great Peter Drucker quote. So thank you for reminding me about that.
Absolutely. Peter Drucker is the founder of modern management. And if you haven't read some of Peter Drucker's stuff, please, that's another recommendation. I got, give me a ring and we can talk about your development. So your why is all about that. It is defining your culture.
It's a big piece of it anyway. Yeah.
Yes. So define your why. A successful why should be simple. It shouldn't be this big old long. I remember in the 80s we did vision and mission statements that were 16 paragraphs and nobody could remember any of it. It needs to be simple, clear, actionable, and focused. So in your handouts, you've got some room to take notes there. So a couple of examples of defining your why. Apple, think different. Remember that 1984 commercial with the, okay, oh, yeah. I'm dating myself, aren't I? Yeah, what about Disney? Their why is, we're in the business of telling stories. Wow, simple, clear, and it's the why. Let's see, Southwest, to be the champion for the common man and to make air travel accessible to all. Simple, clear. Make sense? Having fun?
Let me give you this. I'll give you that link to the Apple. Here, let me put it in.
Oh, the Apple video.
Yeah, let me put it right in here. Control V. For those of you who are over 45 years old, you might remember this. It was pretty remarkable.
The 1984. It was a Super Bowl commercial, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they played it more than that, but it did. I think it launched at the Super Bowl. So I just put it in the link.
So your why statement should be unique. It is yours. It is you and your company's. It's how you change. Actually, I think of it as how I change the world. Make sense? So why does your business exist? Why should you exist? It's a reflection. Why don't we do the polling number 2 on this question?
So have you identified your organization, why it exists? What's the value that you offer your clients? Do you have it? Do you know what it is?
And it should interrelate to your personal why in some way.
Yeah, there was a comment, personal and business whys are not necessarily the same.
Right.
That's a good question. That's a good comment. But I think, Gary, you'll find that they're rooted in the same place. At least mine are. And I'll be sharing some of that later on. But
yeah, they may not be the same, but they support each other. It's like your business goals and your personal goals. If your business goals don't support your personal goals, why do it?
Yeah, one of the things we used to say in when I was an eMyth consultant is the only reason to own a business is to do more of what you love to do. And yeah, I mean, that's the only reason to own a business. If you're not delivering on what you love to do, why bother? It's hard owning a business. All of you out there probably know this. It's not easy.
Running a business is the hardest thing that anyone will do. It's much easier to get a job. Okay, let's see what the results are. Ooh, whoa, look at that. Have you identified your organizational and why your business exists? Have you defined why it should matter? Whoa, this is cool.
Good. Okay.
Can we take credit for that, Michael?
I don't know. Did they do it? Did you guys just do it now?
Yeah.
So keep rolling. Let's go.
So a format you can use is your contribution to blank, so that, and your impact. So what is your impact? Why do you inspire us? In short, it's your purpose. Mm-hmm. So that is a format. It's not the only format. It's a good way to get started if you're struggling with this to some extent. Mm-hmm. The final draft might look something like this: to engage and inspire people so that people are motivated to do something creative every day.
So there's that to so that Joe was just sharing with you.
Yeah. Yeah. The contribution is to engage and inspire. The impact is motivate others.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be in that format, but it makes it, it may make it easier to move forward and to get something clearly articulated for yourself, and it can start moving it forward. Okay, now what is the process, the formal process for defining your why? This is the process, okay? And in your handouts, you've got room on page number, a bunch of pages, and we're going to start diving into this. But understand the idea of why you need your why. Find a partner like Michael and start telling stories about your business or yourself, and look for patterns on when you tell stories, you're going to tell stories about things you remembered. Look for the patterns, draft it, and start refining it and redoing it and redoing it and redoing it.
So, hey, Joe, can I tell a story?
I love stories, please.
So right here in the middle of that where it says select and tell your stories, this would be great for managers to do too. If you're having a strategic planning meeting at the end of the year, have managers tell success stories about what happened. So let me tell you a story that happened to me. I had a client who came to me. He was working maybe 12, 14 hours a day. He was completely out of control. He walked into my office and said, "Hey, Mike, I need you to help me." And I sort of said, "Well, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make you drink." And he said, "I'm in, I'm all in." Well, I worked with him for 16 months and then we completed, and he'd done a great job. He was down to about 10 hours a week, and he was doing it because it was fun. He didn't have to go to work if he didn't want to. But I didn't hear from him for a bunch of years. And then by chance we connected, and here's the story. He basically told me that shortly after we'd wrapped up our work together, his wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And because he didn't have to work 12 hours a day, he was able to be with her throughout her ordeal. He went with her to all of her chemotherapy treatments. He was there to help around the house because she was beat after these treatments. He was there to help cook, to take care of her. And he didn't have to be at work. And he said, today she's cancer-free. And she beat it. And he credited his being there as a big part of her success. And he said, I want to thank you, because if we hadn't done what we did together, he would never have been able to have been there for her. And if he had, he might not have had a business if he had been there with her. And she beat it. He was there to help, and his business was running smoothly. And I was just like, oh my God, that was profound for me. And that's why I do this work. I do this work to make a difference. So those are the types of stories you want to share. You'll start seeing these threads, these patterns that are weaving throughout your stories, and they can become the foundation of your why.
And all of you, I'm sure, have a story that resonates. You got me tearing up here, Michael.
Yeah, well, I do every time I tell that story.
But that's why
really get through it.
but that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
It's setting this up and following it.
It doesn't happen all the time, so don't.
I have, like I talked about this morning. The client took 3 days off and didn't even get a phone call. Where 2 years ago, he couldn't have left the office for 2 hours without getting a phone call.
Yeah.
So we get to contribute to the world by helping our businesses.
Yeah.
So as you start walking through this process, we can't go through this today. This takes time, but start going through it. And as you start going through this, once you get to that first kind of draft, or you start doing this, dive deep into it. So I recommend in chapter 2 of Dean Gressie's Millionaire Success Habits, it has a process for helping you define your why and kind of dig deep into it. And in your handout, there's an area where it says, okay, how do you dig deep? And start digging deep and start digging deep. So Michael and I are going to play a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah. You want to do me, or do you want me to do you? What
I'm okay either way.
You decide. Your show.
Okay, I'll decide. Michael, what's your why?
Why do I do
do what you do?
Well, first of all, I'm going to assume that I don't know what I do right now. Okay, so
yes, please.
Say, I do this because I want to make a lot of money.
You know, I hear that a lot. So why do you want to make a lot of money?
Well, because if I make a lot of money, I can do what I do. I don't have to work for someone else. I don't like working for other people. I want to do what I do. I want to have control.
So why do you want to do what you do? Why do you want to have control?
Well, because I think well, let me sort of go way back, because this sort of came, I used to want to be famous. I wanted to be like Michael Jackson. And the reason I wanted to be like Michael Jackson is I thought you had to be famous to make a difference. When I saw what happened to Michael Jackson, I went, I don't want to be like Michael Jackson. I don't want fame for fame's sake. So why do I want to be famous? And I thought, well, I want to be famous because I want to be able to make a difference. And I thought when I was younger that I had to be famous to be able to make a difference. Like Bono, man, that guy makes a difference. But then I discovered that there were other ways to make a difference. So why do I want to make a difference, Joe might ask?
You got me right before I was ready. Why do you want to make a difference? Why? Yes.
Well, because it makes me feel good, you know? I read this poem by Emerson, and the last phrase of the poem, some of you, it's a very famous poem. The last frame, I wrote it down, it said, to know that even one life has breathed better because you have lived, this is to have succeeded. So I do this to feel like I have succeeded in my life. That's bottom line.
I like it.
I think that's it. I think
because why you do that? It's so you're gonna feel that's that personal connection,
right.
And you're helping other people.
Yeah, makes me feel good. I can make a difference. So all of those are elements of my why. I actually bring all those into my why.
And as I went through this, it came down to very similar. I like to make people happy because that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
we'll get into that a little bit more later, but what it does, I mean, we do this to enjoy things. So why do you do what you do? We dive into it and dig deep, get that feeling. I mean, if you're not crying when you're defining your why, you're probably not digging deep enough.
Yeah, you're not feeling it. You're not feeling it. You got to feel it.
You got to feel it. It comes from inside. So why does it come from inside?
Right.
Oh, well, we can talk about the aspect of from a scientific perspective. It should, because our why is what we believe is our cause, is what drives you. It hits our limbic brain, and this is our feelings, behavior, our decision making. This is our feelings. The what we do and how we do it, that's all rational and analytical. That is your that's your thinking brain, that's your logic. But the heart is what matters. And when we get down to the heart, everyone that's been through sales training has been, do people buy on logic or emotion? It's emotion.
They buy on emotion. Yeah,
and we use our logic to justify it. Realistically, we buy on emotion, we use logic to justify it. Our why is about emotion. It's about feelings. It's why we do what we do. It's inside. It's not rational, analytical, or thoughts. It's really inside.
Yeah,
this makes sense?
Yeah, you've got to feel it. If you're feeling it, then it's going to execute. It's going to show up. If you're not authentic, when you're feeling something, you're authentic. And if you're not feeling it, then you're not. But I almost said the BS word, but you don't want to BS people. You want to be real. So it's really helpful to find it. And if you're feeling it, you've probably found it.
Yeah, and if you're not feeling it, keep digging.
Yeah,
and get somebody to we go back to the process. Get somebody to do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Bounce the stories off. Dig deep.
If you're a bigger company, listen to the stories of what your employees talk about.
Have a meeting and talk about the stories and start trying to define this. This is not an easy process. At least it wasn't for me. It took me 2 weeks to really dive into why do I do what I do?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do this a lot in when we're working in Touchstone. We talk about strategic planning. Part of the strategic planning process, which is, remember, mission, purpose, and values. And that purpose, we always get the vision, we always get the values, but that purpose, it's tough.
The purpose that ties into your culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Because your why actually starts defining your culture. It may modify your vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, it usually does. So once we define and get clarity on our why, then we look at our how, the discipline of how, and the consistency of what. And the key to this is they must all be in harmony. They work together. They can't be separated out. You can't have something that they're not working consistently as a functioning organism, almost. It's a living, breathing entity. Your company is a living, breathing entity, and these all tie together. So defining.
Joe, yeah, why don't you give your example of your why, how, and what?
It's coming up, so just
okay.
wait.
Sorry.
I got a slide on it, so we're gonna.
Okay, sorry.
We're gonna. But most people start with what and how, and then they don't ever define their why. They must all be in harmony,
Right.
and we're gonna get to that.
Okay, sorry.
So the discipline of how. So once you know your why, the discipline of how is how you support your why. So this is what you do to support what your why is. It's what you do and how you do it. And we're going to give you an example here in a minute. This makes sense on how.
This is a slide that I'm hoping we're going to be able to send this out afterward, because this is a slide that I was pondering, reading over and over, thinking there's a lot in this slide. So it's a good one.
I internalize it, read it.
Yeah,
and this actually comes from
Simon Sinek.
So I got to give credit, because when I read this, it really started making me think about why we do what we do, how we do it, what we do, and how we do it.
Yeah, put that. Hey, Veronica, can you put that Simon Sinek video out there, please? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Joe. Keep going.
Oh, no. And what we do. This is, most of us know what we do.
There it is.
And know what we do and how we do it. It's the why that's kind of that, but that's the core of everything.
Mm-hmm. There's that word authenticity again. Authentic.
Yep. And it supports your why. If it's not supporting your why, then you're not authentic. You're not consistent. You're not in harmony with your why. And by the way, your why is never about making money. Money it helps you. It might help you achieve your why, but it's not your why.
Often starts there, though.
Almost everyone I tell is, why do you do what you do? Make more money.
Right.
Well, what's more money? Why?
Right.
And it gets down to why we do, and it may be very different than what mine was very different than what I originally thought. I thought mine was to buy the island, which is still my goal, but it's not my why. It's not why I get up in the morning. When I get up in the morning and I think about helping someone move for their business forward, move it just that little bit, where all of a sudden they're smiling, they're like, oh, I know what to do next. Man, every morning I get up and I'm like, I get to go help somebody today. Isn't that cool? I got the coolest job in the world, by the way, Michael. So.
Oh yeah, well, you and me.
Yeah. So my why is to make someone smile every day so that they grow in confidence and empowered to become great leaders. When I see a business owner specifically smile, or anybody in the hallway even, it makes me feel cool. I mean, those of you that know me, it's like, happy Thursday. I thrive off of the energy that other people have, and me putting out that energy helps bring it back. Now, how do I do that? I help great business become achieving ultimate success by being sustainable, predictable, stable, consistent, and have an emotional connection, that emotional connection to their constituents. I make business is great. What do? I provide coaching by using proven systems, tools, and processes to get my clients where they want to go.
But you know what else, Joe? You deliver possibility to all these people. You deliver joy. You deliver energy. And they need that when they're building their business. This is not Joe, you're not seeing Joe right now on webinar mode. This is who he is. This guy is so full of life and energy. And it comes from his why.
Well, it does, because I get to help people, and that gives me energy. So it's kind of cool when you define your why and what you do, and then how you do it, and what you do, all in concert, in harmony. It's a system. Life gets really cool.
Yeah.
So it's a reminder of your vision. It keeps everything on track. You can always go back to your why or your purpose, which your why and your purpose are I kind of interrelate those, and it makes decisions so much easier. It makes everything easier because it's your guiding light. It really is. Any comments there, Mike?
No, but I got a comment coming up after the next slide. So
that one?
It's the one after that, actually, but keep going, because it's
okay.
You're coming up to the whole idea of interpretation. Don't leave it open for interpretation. So I want to save my thoughts.
You're gonna save it for that one?
Yeah.
So you got to stay close to your why. You got to revisit it, and you must share it. You engage it every day, and you engage it with people you interact with. And not only I share mine with my customers, my peers, anyone that wants to listen to me, and if they don't, I sometimes share it.
Yeah, right. Well, there are a lot of companies too that like Infusionsoft has this. They're a big company, but in their lunchroom, they've got this this huge mural painted on their wall of their why. So everybody knows it. Everybody lives it.
And you, well, we're going to get to that. You hire to it. You fire to it. It is your essence.
Right.
And never leave it open for interpretation. It must be reinforced from the executive level down to, this is part of your onboarding process. This is part of your hiring processes. This is everything. It's how you do things.
Right. So did we keep the mission, purpose, goals slide? We may have taken that out.
No, we're going to keep it in there. Okay. But I want to talk about this one just for a second. When I was with that little company, you may have heard of them, HP. I was with Hewlett Packard for 25 years, and I remember when I first started out, one of the culture items, one of the kind of who we are was you don't say things bad about your competition. End of story. And when I came on board, they actually fired one of their top salespeople because he was saying derogatory things about our competition. And I was just appalled. I'm like, how can you do that? How can you fire one of your best salespeople just for saying something bad? And I didn't get it at that time. Now I look back and go, wow, that was so powerful. That had such an impact to me on how important the culture and your purpose and it goes back to the why it is to a company. And defining your why will enable that.
And not leaving it open to interpretation.
It can't be. It's got to be documented. It's got to be good and reinforced. Right. And one way to reinforce that is?
Yeah, through your vision, through strategic planning, and through management processes. So in that previous slide, Joe was talking about leaving your why open to interpretation. Everyone needs to know what your why is. And to communicate your why, I think it's a great part of your strategic planning process. And in fact, there's a process in Touchstone that has an agenda for what your annual planning meetings look like. And one of those meetings is about sharing stories, sharing wins and successes and what clients are saying about you. And that's a great opportunity to see if people are part of your why. So at each annual strategic planning meeting, you can revisit this vision. And obviously your vision includes your big, hairy, audacious goal. That's your mission. Your values, that's the bottom part, which are, those are those things that you hold sacred. But it's revisiting your purpose, why you do what you do. These stories should be coming out, and managers need to hold employees accountable to the culture of your company. All managers need to be in touch with the pulse of the employees to make sure that that corporate culture is being considered, that it's woven into the fabric of the organization. If you've got dissension, cynicism, sarcasm, these things need to be nipped in the bud, because they will become a cancer in your organization. It will steer you away from that culture that needs to be remembered and maintained. So, share this, keep sharing it, and have processes to share it. And we have several processes that we can share with you as Touchstone clients.
And Michael is the process guy.
Yeah, he loves processes.
So that was actually a thing that says, what do you do after you define your why? Well, excellent. So it gets incorporated into everything. It gets incorporated into your vision, into your goals, into your company culture. It becomes part of how you hire, how you fire. And it drives everything. It's really part of your mission. It becomes part of your collaborative atmosphere. Everyone needs to buy into the why. Otherwise, they probably shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you and I talked about that the other day. Is like, if they don't buy into why, they self-select out of the interview process because they probably don't need to be there. You were talking about hiring somebody the other day, and kind of how you discuss that, and they kind of said, maybe this isn't the right place for me.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to see people who shouldn't be there.
And defining that, and then communicating it through your interview process, through your marketing. People don't buy what you do and how you do it. They really do buy your why. I mean, think about Apple. It's a subculture almost, or probably not a subculture. It's a big culture now, huh? But you buy Apple because you believe in Apple. People that love Southwest fly Southwest because they love what they do. What is yours, and how do we start communicating that into our marketing, into our PR, into our advertising, into everything we do?
Including hiring.
Including hiring and including firing. If someone's not aligned with your culture, you need to, it's an energy suck on the organization. I just had this conversation, slightly different type, but hire slow, fire fast. Mm-hmm. If it's not a good fit, it's the wrong person, wrong bus, wrong seat, wrong time.
Yeah, next week we're doing in our management scaping course, we're focusing on evaluations, the 30, 60, 90-day evaluation, and then the annual evaluation. And these need to be processes. Anyway, keep going, Joe. This is a great slide. I just want to point out that someone in the chat said you learn as much from your setbacks as you do from your successes, which is sort of appropriate to this slide.
Actually, I think you learn more. Mm-hmm. You learn more from your failures than you do from your successes.
Mm-hmm. And if you can approach failures as opportunities, that's one of the big things we stress. So much to learn from them.
My dad always said, there's two ways to learn. You can learn from your own failures, or you can learn from others. And he says, Joe, I don't know why you always have to learn from your own.
Right.
So that's why I try to read a lot of books, is learn from other people. But we learn from our mistakes. We learn from the breakdowns. We don't learn nearly as much from our successes. Once you define your why, it also is going to get you through the tough times. Mm-hmm. COVID has been a very, very tough time for a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses didn't make it, even though their why, it was just out of their control. I mean, couldn't pivot fast, but your why will get you through the tough times. It'll get you through the times that recruiters come and try to steal your people, because they'll be tied to the organization emotionally, not just financially. So defining and what your why is defined, you'll get through the tough times. And your why may include a reason for giving back. Giving back to the community is something that we all as business owners should be doing. And I know my company gives back. I personally sit on the board for the Red Cross. I'm a chairman for the College of Adaptive Arts. So I do work with this government. All of us give back to the community because that's part of why we do what we do, to help people. And it's giving back. So I'm hoping as you develop your why, you work that in with giving back must be an integral part of your company and your why on why you do what you do. It's not about you, it's about what we can do for other people. Michael, comments?
I agree with you, Joe. I think it's really important to deliver your why, to share all of that with other organizations outside of yourself, to give and then receive from the giving.
And I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I do that, lots of people helped me when I started this. 11 years ago, it was not easy. And went through some really tough times and bounces, and you think your business is going to go from here to here. It goes like this. Right. And understanding your why, I know, would have helped me get through that so much easier. Now that I really have spent the time to define it, life is getting easier. And you must celebrate your milestones, celebrate your wins. As you're starting to put this together, you must do the happy dance or get your ice cream social. I had to do my happy dance in this workshop. Those of you that know me, the celebrations are a key success factor for your business. What that does is it releases endorphins and makes you want to do it again. Otherwise, you do something that's like, oh, great job, next. And your subconscious mind starts going, man, the more I do, the more I have to do. I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this. Celebrations make it worthwhile. Make it like, oh, that was cool. You got to do that celebration. You got to take that time out and say, woohoo. Ice cream socials are fun. They're good. Whatever you do to celebrate personally and company-wide.
Yeah, celebrate getting your why done.
I think you should all celebrate getting your why done. So as we go through this, as you saw, this is a process. Almost everything in business is a process. There are very, very, very few people problems. There are most problems are process problems. I had a client yesterday that says, no, I got a bad employee. I said, no, you had a bad hiring process because you hired the wrong person. And they were like, oh, so how do you change your process? And Michael, do you know anybody that's really good at processes?
Well, yeah. Well, we've been doing this a long time. For more than 20 years, we've been focused on processes. And for those of you on the call today who are not Touchstone clients, we do have a free offer. You can go to our site. You can see it there in the top right-hand corner, www.businessdesigncorp.com. And there is an option there to click to get a free trial of our Touchstone application, or even easier. And I would love it if you did this, because I just think the technology is pretty cool. You can text "try it free," all one word, to 707-800-3603. And if you do that, it's going to automatically set up an account for you. Within a couple of minutes, you'll get instructions for logging in. Regardless of which way you do this, we have a library of processes that you have access to. And one of them is the strategic planning process. And since it's coming into strategic planning season, it's the end of the year, this would be an excellent time to get a free trial. And if you take, you're going to see that Joe has an offer coming up after he so graciously let me go first. If you take Joe up in his offer and he helps you develop your why, we'll work with you to help you implement your why and make it part of the fabric of your company. We'll make it really easy to deliver and communicate your why. So between the two of us, between Joe and I, we can make this process pretty easy. So that's all I have to say. So text "try it free." I'd love to see some of those texts come in.
There's also a link to your calendar in the chat right now.
Oh yeah. So if someone just wants to, if someone has questions and they want to ask me questions specifically, Veronica has put that link in the chat box, and you can schedule an appointment with me, and we'll send out a Zoom meeting and we'll figure out. No, go for it, Joe. You're up.
Well, because I love coaching. I love helping people get to the next level, but defining processes, that's not what I want to do. So I am so glad to partner up with you, Michael, and work with that, because to me, I like being at that strategic of putting the, where do we need to go? How do we get there? What processes do we need to put in place to make sure we get there? Mm-hmm. Understanding where you are today is kind of the first step. So you can take this free assessment, understanding where your business is today from a strategy standpoint, a business development standpoint, people, execution, and mission. Now you can take it, your team can take it. I'm okay with whatever makes sense for you. Just go to actioncoachsj.com. You'll get your link, and you can let us know how many people want to take that assessment, and we'll analyze your business. It'll be my honor and privilege to do that. If you want to talk about your why and get clear on it and really start diving into it personally, just click on the link in the chat and you'll have access to my calendar. We'll schedule a half an hour and dive into it in whatever you want. Or if you're just spending too much time in your business, not sure what to do next, COVID issues, give me a call or schedule some time and let's dive into it. It's my honor and privilege to help businesses. Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate you investing your time with us today.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's been a real pleasure. And, take us up on this offer. The why is hard to figure out on your own. So let us help you. And it's going to be a joy for both Joe and I to do that. Believe me, we love doing it.